welcome to Stay Wavy TV. Enjoy and ride the wave. Welcome to Stay Wavy TV.
Gunn says that Robert Pattinson's Batman will never join the DCEU. I know this is going to have a lot of the Batman fans pissed off, but we got to be realistic, guys. First of all, it's taken 5 years for the sequel to come out for the Batman that came out back in 2022. And second of all, this Batman, in my opinion, is not a universal version of Batman. You can't even really tell the difference between Robert Pattinson's Batman and Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is super emo in the Batman, very dark, doesn't really talk that much. He kind of makes it very obvious that he's the guy that's playing Batman behind the mask. When you look at Christian Bale's Batman, you have Bruce Wayne, who's the playboy bachelor, and then you have Batman, who is, the superhero. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with James Gunn on this, but let's get into this article. Shout out to Denna Greek. It says, "We have Batman at home. That seems to be the thought among fans waiting for Batman the Brave and the Bold." Now that's going to be the DCU Batman that's coming out in a couple years. So why find a totally new Batman for this mainline DCU movie when we already have Robert Pattinson playing the Dark Knight in the Matt Reeves movie, The Batman? Pattinson earned praise from audiences and critics alike, prompting many to call for him to reprise the role for the Brave and the Bold. But when one brave fan contacted DC Studios co-head James Gunn via Threads to ask about the possibility of bringing Pattinson into the DCU, they received the blunt, absolute answer, no. And like fellow cinematic great David Lynch refused to say more. For those who have been following the production of The Brave and the Bold, Gunn's answer comes as no surprise. At no point have Gunn, Reeves, Pattinson, or anyone else involved in the project even hinted that the Batman would be officially canon to the DCU. On the contrary, all have been completely clear that the Batman, the HBO series The Penguin, and the upcoming sequel, The Batman 2, exist in their own continuity, separate from Superman, Pacemaker, and yes, Batman the Brave and the Bold. That division helps preserve the vision that Reeves brought to the first film. The Batman certainly has its stylized elements as demonstrated by the evocative red lighting, the emo noir voiceover narration, and every single thing that Colin Farrell is doing as Oz. Now, I gotta say this. I think Colin Farrell did a phenomenal job playing the Penguin. As a matter of fact, I think that the Penguin TV series was way better than the Batman movie. And I wasn't surprised by that because, to me, the Penguin was the star of the Batman. It was not Robert Pattinson. I think it was Colin Farrell playing Oz. You know what I'm saying? So, as the name change from Oswald Cobblepot to Oz Cobb also demonstrates the Batman takes place in a relatively grounded world in which Bruce Wayne is the only person who decides to put on the costume and fight crime. Conversely, The Brave and the Bold takes place within the DCU, which Superman established as having metahumans for 3 centuries. We already know from a brief cameo in Creature Commandos that the DCU Batman has fought the supervillain Dr. Phosphorus. Moreover, The Brave and the Bold deals with Batman and Robin, which means that not only does this version of the Dark Knight exist in a world full of superheroes, but he's old enough to have a son who also has become a superhero, given that the Batman takes place in the year 2 of the Cape Crusaders' adventures. It's hard to see how that character could become a veteran and a dad so soon. More to the point, Gunn's refusal to rely on just one Batman reflects his approach to adapting DC Comics. Gunn has always said that the DC universe is rich and varied enough that not every project is for every audience. Now, that I agree with. I like the fact that he's allowing Matt Reeves to do his thing with the Batman, because there could be the Batman Part 3, right? But he's making sure that with the DCU, that people know that the DCU is entirely separate from what, Matt Reeves is doing. And listen, his Superman is completely different from Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, right? I did like Man of Steel better, but there was things that I did enjoy in Superman that came out last year that, because there is some flaws in Man of Steel, right? The movie was too long. There was a lot of dry parts, right? And I do think that, James Gunn's Superman was more fun, more like, youthful. The Man of Steel movie was more serious. You know what I'm saying? So, I kind of agree with James Gunn, allowing people to, just show their versions of specific characters. You know what I mean? So, if there's one character who can stretch all across those takes and genres, it's Batman. The viewing public understands that the campy 60s Batman portrayed Adam West, the more realistic Batman played by Christian Bale, and the animated Batman voiced by Kevin Conroy are all variations of the same character. The existence of one doesn't rule out the other. So in short, there's no real reason to expect that Pattinson will be the only Batman in the movies. Gunn has answered, so stop asking and just enjoy all the wonderful Batmans that we get. So the Batman Part 2 is supposed to be coming out next year, right? I am expecting the Batman Part 2 to be much better than the Batman Part 1. And that's why I think it's taking so long for this movie to be made. I think that Matt Reeves is the kind of director that he listens to the critics. He listens to the things that people didn't like about the Batman. And I think that the reason why it's taken so long to get the sequel is because he wanted to write a script that pleased people more. And listen, if it takes 4 or 5 years for you to make a sequel, it better be better than the first one. It has to be, right? And when you watch the Penguin TV series, like I said, the Penguin TV series, for me, it had everything that the Batman was missing. That's what actually got me excited for this Batman Part 2 movie. If the Penguin TV series would have never came out and been that good, I literally would not watch the Batman Part 2. But Matt Reeves, he did his thing on that Penguin TV series, man. So I look forward to seeing the Batman Part 2 next year. And just expect Batman Brave and the Bold to be entirely different from the Batman directed by Matt Reeves and Batman played by Robert Pattinson. It's going to be entirely different. It's not going to be the same at all. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think. It's your boy Wavy, Stay Wavy TV. Make sure you subscribe. Please click that hype button, thumbs up the video, and most importantly, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section. I'm out.
Welcome to Stay Wavy TV. Enjoy and ride the wave.